Welcome to another episode of UCRD Reviews. So today I have another Robot Spirits figure from Mobile Suit Variations, specifically MSX. This is the FA78-2 Heavy Gundam version anime. So this is the first entry coming out of MSX, and it also has a little surprise gimmick that we'll get into later from MSVR. The Heavy Gundam is the improved version of the FA78-1 Full Armor Gundam, and we'll go through the differences on them. And we finally got our first figure of Heavy Gundam, aside from the Gundam Fix version, but it was never in the MSIA line, and it's never been in the Robot Spirits line before either. So I was really excited to get this one. The Heavy Gundam's one of my favorite designs. There's a lot of cool stuff with it. We have the bottom of the box there. But one interesting thing to note is it's not in its normal like brown colors. It's the MSX line art, like the black and red colors, and almost prototype Gundam looking. And we'll get into why it's colored like that, or why I think it is at least, in a little bit here. But let's check out the figure. Within the Gundam lore, the Heavy Gundam project was halted late in the One-Year War and was picked back up about 8 months later. 3 or 4 units were created, and it was a successor to the Full Armor Gundam. It was used as a heavy assault mobile suit and was covered in armor just like Full Armor Gundam, but utilized better weaponry, especially the beam cannon on the back as opposed to a shell-firing cannon. It also didn't have any Vulcan guns on the head, and it used a visor instead of the traditional Gundam eyes. But this is it. This is the figure here. So we'll go through the articulation. Head has a ton of upward articulation, a little bit of downward. Does a full turn. The arms, oops, I guess the shoulder armor comes out, huh? The arms don't seem to come out of the socket very much at all, but you do have full rotation. You have a swiveling bicep there, and the elbows don't go up a whole lot just because of the armor right there. This piece swivels, and you have ball jointed hands with another joint up in the wrist. So, not the best that we've seen, but not terrible. You have no chest flex or anything like that, at least with the armor on. You do have ball jointed front skirt armor and side. Rear skirt armor is fixed. You do have, I think this is a bazooka storage here. Going around to the back, you have 3 thrusters, all compatible with effect parts. You have a beam saber storage piece. You have the hinged beam cannon that's compatible with effect parts. You have the legs here. You do have thigh swivel. They'll come out about that far, which is pretty good. The side skirt armor kind of stops them. And you have a decent, or really nice, articulation in the thigh up there, as well as the knee, especially even with the armor on. And the feet are multi-ball jointed, and you see that some of the armor is starting to kind of pop off of the feet. It just kind of slides on, but we'll get into the armor more in a little bit. But this is the Full Armor Gundam, so let me find his beam saber here somewhere. There it is. And of course I drop it. So this is the beam saber. I'm just going to go ahead and plug it in there. Unlike the Full Armor Gundam, the Heavy Gundam actually has the close combat weapon, which is pretty cool. So let's take a look at the accessories real quick. To start things off, the Heavy Gundam comes with the standard assortment of hands. You have the beam saber hands, the gun hands, and 2 different posing hands, as well as the little rack that all the version anime figures come with. One thing you don't get with Heavy Gundam, which is kind of odd, is a replacement antenna. You have the one on the figure, and that is it. I know most modern Robot Spirits figures come with replacements, but Heavy Gundam didn't get one, so be very careful with this. Now, moving on to the weaponry portion, we're going to jump right into the really awesome, iconic weapon that the Heavy Gundam uses, and this the big giant thing is called the Frame Launcher. So it's recreated here, very light, not that heavy at all, considering how large this weapon is. It does come with hinged fins in the back here. You got some pretty cool detail. You have the exhaust back here, you have the big ammo drum, the Gatling gun with compatible with effect parts, the 4-tube missile launcher, and this piece hinges as well. This is where the arm actually connects to it. So let's go ahead and show that real quick. So you can connect it to either arm. Just to showcase that, we're going to actually connect it to this arm. So you're going to remove that red piece, and the arm just kind of settles down into it, like so. And it'll snap. You'll close the little door there, and it's on. Pretty simple. You can move the figure around. It drooped a little bit there, but not much. So I mean, it can hold a pose with it pretty easily. Now, this is a new figure. You know, joints are still pretty tight, but shoulder armor clearly isn't. Perhaps over time it'll wear, but I don't think it's going to be an issue, except for extremely long term, and that just goes with most of these figures. So it looks really, really nice, though. Like I said, it is compatible with effect parts, which we'll get into in a little bit. But let's check out the other weapons. Now, these other weapons here, the Heavy Gundam doesn't typically use. So like, this is the shield here. It's a folding shield, which is really cool. And in the MSX, the Heavy Gundam isn't shown using a shield or anything like that. However, the reason I think the Heavy Gundam that we got is not in the brown color and it's in the black and red color is because these are actually the weapons from Heavy Gundam Unit 2, which appeared in MSVR, and it used a beam rifle, a bazooka, and a shield. And so this is the shield that you get here. And I think the reason they did that is because the Unit 2 is in this black and red color as well. So the Unit 1, I'm going to go ahead and take the frame launcher off of the arm here. The Unit 1 was, could be in multiple colors. It was in the brown color that, everybody's kind of familiar with, I think. And then it was also in this color. There we go. I'm trying to put it on backwards this whole time. And then you just kind of connect it right like that. So, when they did this design, I think they made it in this color so that they could have the Unit 1 with a frame launcher or the Unit 2 with the other weaponry. It's kind of a clever gimmick, not needed necessarily, but clever. So you do have the shield here, and we'll get back to the shield here in a minute. We're going to go through the other weapons real quick. So you have the beam rifle, which has this odd-looking drum at the bottom of it. Otherwise, looks like the Gundam's beam rifle. Has the movable little targeting scope there. It's colored really nicely, real short little gun. And then you have the Hyper Bazooka, which looks like it's based on the Gundam's Hyper Bazooka, but it's very different. So you have this forward handle here that swivels around. You have this main handle that swivels a little bit, and you have a little targeting scope that moves around, not a whole lot. It is compatible with firing effects in the front and rear. It does have a magazine that is unfortunately not removable, but it looks really, really good. So one little thing you can do with the bazooka is actually store it. Let me grab my Heavy Gundam here. And so you'll clip the storage piece onto the bazooka there, and it'll plug into the back like so. It looks pretty good. So it can store there. It also has an alternative storage area, and that one's going to be using this piece here. So this little chunk of plastic actually plugs into the shield. The shield has these two hard points, which can be used for effect parts, but it's also used for this. And you can plug the bazooka onto the shield. So we're going to go ahead and do like that. It does make it heavier. It's actually heavier than the frame launcher, just kind of from how I can feel the weight of it. So this will wear out the joint faster than the frame launcher would, but it can store on the shield, which is kind of an interesting design. The beam rifle has nowhere to store itself, and obviously the frame launcher can't be stored anywhere, but it does have a good assortment of weapons. So like I said, it's I think the Heavy Gundam was colored in this more odd black, white, and red, so that they could have the Unit 1 and Unit 2 kind of in one package, and it wouldn't be the wrong colors. Which they've done. I mean, they've done that before. You had the Gun Cannon Heavy Arms that came with Gun Cannon 2's weaponry for no reason, and a couple other releases that did stuff like that. But this one they did right, so I at least like that they kept it in the right colors. So let's take a look at the effect parts, because the Heavy Gundam has some really cool effect parts. So this one, I guess I don't really consider it an effect part, but you do have the beam saber blade, and it just plugs right into the beam saber, pretty standard. But then this one is an effect part, and it's a slashing effect. It also plugs into the beam saber. It's the same one we've got a million different times now. Nothing different here. You do have 3 thruster effects, all with the curved pegs. So you get 3 of those, and they can plug into the feet, and they can also be plugged into the 3 thrusters as well. You then get a beam firing effect. So this one's compatible with both the beam cannon and the beam rifle. Again, standard, same thing that comes with the original Gundam. But then we have the more interesting ones. So this is a new one. This is the Gatling gun firing effect, and it plugs into the middle of the Gatling gun like so, and it actually looks really good. I like it. You do have 2 other effect parts. These are missile firing effects. You have a long one and a short one. Now you're probably wondering, where the heck do they go? Because there's no pegs here. What you actually do is remove the front end of the frame launcher, take this little red piece out, and put it all back. You now have holes to put your effect parts. Now the effect parts are, I don't know if you can see, pick it up on the camera, but they are angled in a particular way. They kind of have a right angle to them. So you'll want to orient them in a particular way. So like with this one, I'm going to put it up there, and this one's also oriented in a particular way. So like this one, I can kind of put down, I think here, like that. And so you have this really neat looking missile firing effect going on. I really like the look of this, and it actually, I think you can, yeah, you can put kind of everything on at once and it doesn't interfere with each other. It looks really, really nice. This is the kind of stuff that I like to see with the effect parts. It looks really good with posing, even if you're just doing regular displays. Let's actually put the frame launcher on here so you can see it, because the frame launcher is so easy to attach. And so that's kind of what it looks like with the Gundam. I mean, it looks really, really nice. I really like it. So here we have the Heavy Gundam without the armor, as well as the Full Armor Gundam without the armor for comparison. The Heavy Gundam sports similar chest flex, as well as up and down movement, and full rotation all the way around, just like normal, without that bulky chest piece. So I wanted to talk about both of these mobile suits, kind of do a comparison, what's different and what's the same, as well as talk about something that you're probably going to find kind of weird, but that I actually don't like, that Heavy Gundam's armor is removable. The Full Armor Gundam was based on the RX-78-2 Gundam and had removable armor for a reason, because the base mobile suit was this. The Heavy Gundam, however, was built kind of from the ground up. It was a new design, and it wasn't intended to have removable armor. So when you have the figure here, I know they did it because it's easier to kind of base the figure on the Gundam design and then, you know, make new armor for it and kind of clip all the armor on. Plus it gives it a new gimmick. However, you know, you have like these clip pieces here still there. Everything just kind of looks out of place. It doesn't look good in its unarmored form. So that's kind of my opinion. I would have liked a completely new sculpt with the armor sculpted on as opposed to being removable, because like I said, in Heavy Gundam's storyline, it does not have removable armor. But let's armor them up real quick, and then we'll check out both mobile suits with their armor on. So Heavy Gundam's armor honestly isn't that hard to attach. You do have the shoulder pieces that kind of slide on there. You have the crotch piece right here, just like the Full Armor Gundam, and it'll kind of clip into the top and the bottom. And you have this large chest piece that just slides right over and clips into the back. You do want to be very careful with the chest piece. You know, these clips, make sure that you unclip them before you rip the whole thing off. Now, the more difficult section here is going to be the legs. However, they are very similar to the Full Armor Gundams. So you'll kind of attach, I guess I should do it in camera. You'll attach these pieces here. You will then attach this, bottom piece. Let's see if I can get it in there. There we go. And so this piece actually comes apart just like Full Armor Gundam, and you'll put one piece on each side because they kind of clip together, and then you put the knee on. And there's a leg there, and we'll do the other one here. So same process. You're going to clip these both together. You're going to clip that bottom armor piece on, and then these, I believe, will go one there and one here, like so. Or maybe not. Maybe I have them on backwards. I think I do. This looks a little more natural. There we go. And then the knee piece. Good old unrehearsed armor attachment. The ankle guards are a little finicky, so one piece really isn't attached, or one side rather, and the other side is where it attaches, so it's easiest to kind of get it on there and slide it over. and you'll want to make sure it's on there completely. There we go. And we'll do the other side here. So this piece is something new. You know, the Full Armor Gundam didn't really have this ankle armor thing. And then with the feet, they actually peg in. So just right like that, real easy. This will peg in, and then you'll throw the toe guards on, push them together, and you have a Heavy Gundam again. So let's check out the Heavy Gundam with the Full Armor Gundam. So now that we have both Gundams armored up, we'll go ahead and take a quick comparison to them. You'll see the head's completely different. The armor's a little bulkier in the chest with the Heavy Gundam. The arms are different. Full Armor Gundam has much smaller armaments. You can see that the Full Armor Gundam's legs are there's a little bit more going on with them than Heavy Gundam's. And then you have the ankle armor where Full Armor Gundam doesn't have it. Feet are very similar. And then you have the rear. So Full Armor Gundam, you know, it has these armor pieces, this rear skirt armor piece. You know, Heavy Gundam doesn't have that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of differences with the armor. It's not just a straight switch over. But really cool to have both of them here. So with Heavy Gundam, I paid about $65 for mine before shipping. And I think that's a really great value considering the price of a lot of other figures in this line and considering everything you get. You know, you get this armored Gundam that has a really nice sculpt to it, really great articulation. You get a lot of cool weaponry. You get that giant frame launcher. You can convert it into the Heavy Gundam Unit 2 from MSVR, which is what it's configured right now. You have some neat, you know, weapon storage capabilities, some great effect parts. You know, I mean, you really can't beat it. This is a really solid figure. It's not a P Bandai, so there's no reason to skip out on it. You know, it's the introduction to the MSX line, or the MS Pizun, and I really hope we're going to see more from this line. I know the Action Zaku's coming out not too long from now. I think it's in a couple months, but I really want to see the Gabaldi Alpha and all the other mobile suits from MSX. So I really like the Heavy Gundam. Like I said, if you can find it, $65, even a little bit more than that, I think it's worth it. This is one of those figures that I think is going to skyrocket in cost as time goes on, just like the Full Armor Gundam did. So pick it up now while it's cheap, while it's easy to find, and that way you won't regret it later having to pay $150 for it. So thank you for watching my review. I really appreciate you all. Leave a comment if you have the Heavy Gundam or if you're planning on buying it, or what improvements you wanted to see with it, or if you had a different opinion than me. I'm interested in hearing that. So thank you for watching my review, and I'll see y'all next time.